Welcome everybody to Zeta Global Radio. I am your host, Lainey Savante Wilkin. Thank you so much for tuning in today. This is a long-awaited show I've greatly looked forward to bringing to all of you for many, many reasons. One, of course, Ayurvedic medicine is such a powerful and needed modality, medicine, way of life on the planet. But to have the quintessential figurehead of Dr. Vasant Lad being featured is really where I feel that this is such a great representation. And to have it be represented so beautifully by a friend, an incredible filmmaker, Jeremy Frindel, who's here with us today to share his journey on what it's like to feature high-profile, emerging and established leader on so many levels, is where we are today to share all story about the power of film, about how we can make impact through the big screen. And that's a passion of mine. That's a passion of Zeta Global Radio's. From the get-go is how we are using media to move the world forward positively. So I am thrilled to welcome here Jeremy Frindel. He is with Substratum Films, and he's been doing this since 2008, uplifting, inspiring people with a variety of films, and we're going to talk about it all today. So welcome to the show, Jeremy. I'm so glad to have you back.
Thanks, Lainey. Yeah, I'm excited to chat with you.
Yeah, so here we are on another film. I know we met a couple years ago and got to share a story about Krishna Das, another high-profile being who's making such incredible impact in the world. And now, I think even back then, you were developing this. So just for the listeners who think that movies just suddenly appear, maybe give them an evolution of what it takes to bring a film to where you are now, just, coming out to the world.
Yeah, I mean, I think when we met, it was some years ago, and I was in Albuquerque starting to film with Dr. Lad. So I think I started to film, the years just kind of like blend and dissolve into each other. But I should know this date because I'm talking about this film a lot now, but I kind of can't remember.
It's been years, actually.
Yeah. I mean, the film came about. I had finished and released One Track Heart, story of Krishna Das, and traveled around sharing it, and decided, and that went incredibly, and got a much bigger response than I think any of us involved really thought that it was going to. So it was a really exciting time, and I knew I wanted to make another film and keep telling stories and sharing in that way, and was very clear that I did not want to make another film about Eastern spirituality. And I really wanted to do something a little different, and was very clear on that. And, of course, completely did not succeed in doing that, because I met Dr. Lad and just kind of fell in love with him and felt like, wow, this is such an amazing man. And I've been involved in the yoga world and sort of the, meeting lots of different sort of called spiritual teachers, and knew very little about Dr. Lad. I felt like here's this like amazing gem that's walking around the world and sharing so much. And I didn't know anything about him. I know so many other people were, maybe that, anybody who's interested in Ayurveda, of course, he's the guy, the godfather.
Yeah.
But outside, he to me, he's so much more than just Ayurveda. He speaks so profoundly and eloquently on love and spirit, and he's just such a home of wisdom that I wanted to know more about him. And when I met him, I was really taken with him. And as he was telling some stories about his life, I realized, there's an experience in here to capture and weave and share that I felt like could make a beautiful film. So I went against my internal idea of not making another Eastern spirituality film. So it's also, sometimes it feels like it's a little bit out of my hands in some ways, what's going to work and what's not. I had been working to get a film going about the band Foreigner.
I remember that, yes.
Yeah, I shot for over a year with those guys. That was one that came to me from another sort of left angle.
Sure.
But I thought that was going to happen, and somehow money never came together for that to make it happen. And the money for Dr. Lad, just like all of a sudden it was there, and a month after meeting him, I was in India with a camera traveling. So sometimes you just kind of get swept on these waves.
Well, you actually just touched on exactly what I was going to ask you, because people who listen to the show, of course, love the topics of the films, but then there's also the people who also have that desire to pick up a camera, or there's more established filmmakers. And you mentioned that you met him and felt an immediate kinship and care and wanted to make a film about them, and that's every filmmaker's dream. And then there's, okay, now what is this going to cost, or how are we going to bring this together? So those pieces for you all just effortlessly came together, and like you said, a month later, that's pretty amazing. I don't know if that's always common, but I also think it's when it's spirits knock on the door that this is for you, it's going to line up. I mean, it's about alignment too. I want to showcase that for people.
Yeah, I think it's the marriage of alignment and intention and grace with hard work and commitment and determination. I think it's the weaving together of all of that.
Sure.
The first wave of money came. It felt like incredible grace. I met this beautiful man, Sartaj, who's become a very close friend, at the retreat where I first met Dr. Lad, and the two of us started talking about making the film. And he was familiar with One Track Heart, so I think there was like a track record that I could somehow pull this off.
Yeah, oh, of course.
And then so he right away, wrote me a check, and we talked to first we called Dr. Lad, and Dr. Lad, I had met him during the retreat, and he remembered who I was, and he said, "Beautiful, let's do it." And right away I was on a plane with a camera, traveling and shooting. But then it was another 3 years of raising more money, and lots of just incredible generosity from a group of people that invested, and so many people donated to support the film. So it was kind of like never. It went on for a long time, the fundraising. It felt like anytime we would run out of money, I would just say something to Dr. Lad, we're struggling, we're running out of money. And then somebody would show up at the clinic. "I heard you're making a film. Tell me more about it." And then this person give us, become an investor in the film.
Wow. That in itself is a huge journey. And I've seen that just in my own work, how that piece, just knowing, it's such a confirmation, is it, that Spirit has really our backs, even when we have our moments of doubt, that we are really taken care of. And when you're doing, to me, like the work that you're meant to do, it just shows itself. And you have so many now reference points that you never have to think twice, I believe. Even though it looks like 11th hour funding, but that this is yours to do, just like it was for Krishna Das.
I think with this project, I started to really trust that it was all going to come together, and the people that were involved, that had invested, and that were helping with the project, were so steeped in that way of approaching life that there was never any stress, there was never any pressure or like doubts or fear that I ever was were ever communicated to me. It was always, it's going to come together. And if money didn't come, there's a couple people that were incredibly generous and kept giving more money. And somehow we were able to just, really stick with it and pull together this film to celebrate Dr. Lad and the work that he's done, and, who kind of try to give people an experience of who he is and
Sure.
what it feels like to be with him.
So you mentioned a month later you're on a plane to India, and did you sort of just chuckle, even though you said, I'm not going to do Eastern religion again, but wasn't there a part of you, I just can only imagine, that was so grateful that you know the terrain, the culture, going into this, I would think as a filmmaker and taking this on, there's such a comfort level of sort of having that track record for yourself.
Just having been steeped in the world of sort of Vedic culture and spirituality and those teachings for a long time, I definitely felt like I had, some kind of solid ground to work from. The Ayurveda was something that was totally new and unknown to me, and I still barely understand. It's this vast science and world unto itself. But as the film went on, I was really clear from the start that the film was not a film about Ayurveda, and that it was a film about love, ultimately, was what I really discovered. But that it was a film about this person. It was an experience of this man who's spent his whole life devoted to healing, and really what it kind of boils down to me is love, which was simple when I was able to separate the Ayurveda from the sort of root core teaching of just immersing yourself in love and compassion and this kind of simplicity that he embodies. I was able to understand the film I was making a little bit more.
Well, I kind of glean that that's the same core principle that you were sharing with Krishna Das's film, although that was reflected through outside as music and Dr. Lad through healing. The core essence is about self-love and, of course, his love for his guru. But doesn't it seem like both found the love that they were looking for was in them the whole time, and that's where they emanated? I mean, that's what I get from it.
That's the ultimate story that we're all on, right? Is to discover that in ourselves. I feel like, what other story is there to tell? We need to hear it like again and again and again and again, right?
Well, I think with recent events of late, I think we have to keep hearing it, and we have to keep having shows that showcase people who are doing it like you, and films that need to be seen, because I think we have to keep getting it, particularly energetically for the planet. I don't think we're there yet. What do you think?
It's not looking that way.
So when we come back, we are going to talk about the film and really getting some tidbits that we could all take back for ourselves from the movie The Doctor from India. You're listening to Zeta Global Radio. We'll be back in a moment.
The Remedy is Albuquerque, New Mexico's premier urban day spa. Created with you in mind, The Remedy offers a spa experience that goes beyond the highest quality treatments and products. They're there to help you relax, regroup, rejuvenate, and escape a bit from your busy life. You'll feel it the second you walk in their doors. They have a distinct menu of Ayurvedic services and therapies to infuse a sense of peace and well-being while allowing you to enjoy a luxurious feel and experience. Ayurvedic lifestyle consultations are available, and suggested treatments that include Shirodhara, Marma work, therapeutic massage, Ayurvedic oils, detoxification, and nourishment of the body. For more information, please visit theremedydayspa.com today. Sandy Wyndham is Florida's premier artistic photographer. Her passion shines through every picture she takes. Whether creating a series of artistic shots, headshots, corporate shots, or capturing one of life's most memorable moments, she just can't be beat. Consider Sandy Wyndham Photography. Visit her now at sandywyndham.com and let her know you're a ZGR listener for special discounts. Spiritual Communities Network, where we honor the uniqueness in our oneness. Visit our website to meet our vast spiritual community of healers, therapists, conscious events, and activities. Visit and check out our directory, upcoming retreats, workshops, products, free videos, and much more. Many services are available globally by phone, Skype, and other sources of media. You'll also find more information on how you can be a member to promote the work you're doing in the world. Visit us now at spiritualcommunitiesnetwork.com.
Welcome back to Zeta Global Radio. If you are just tuning in, I am here, Lainey Savante Walken, with Jeremy Frindel. He's the filmmaker for the brand new release, The Doctor from India, a documentary film about Dr. Vasant Lad, the head of the Ayurvedic Institute, based out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, my old stomping grounds. And just curious, Jeremy, do we know why he chose Albuquerque versus anywhere he could be to bring forward this wonderful U.S. Institute? I'm always curious about that.
I think New Mexico, the people of New Mexico sort of chose him, is kind of the story, where he, and this is, told in the film, where through a series of circumstances, somebody decided to bring him to America and bought him a plane ticket and brought him over when he'd never left his, small village really in India where he lived. He was brought over to America and toured around the States, teaching Ayurveda and giving healing sessions with people. And when he arrived in New Mexico, it was his last stop on his tour, and he was about to head back to India and in Santa Fe. And people decided that they really wanted him to stay there and teach, and wanted to build the school for him and to give him more of a permanent setup. And they really campaigned for him to stay and teach. And he decided to give it a try and brought his family over. And New Mexico, there's such a rich tradition of healers from so many different cultures and traditions, and something, they call it the land of enchantment. There's some kind of magic out there that joined with him, and he decided to set up shop there. And now and partially because of the work that Dr. Lad and the people around him have done, New Mexico has much more open medical laws than most other states. They have something called the Health Freedom Act that allows all kinds of different traditions to be able to practice, including Ayurveda, one of only 3 states that Ayurveda can practice somewhat openly.
And be recognized. I hear that a lot from people who are Ayurvedic practitioners about how the laws still feel a little bit archaic. And I actually speak with people who are Canadians and people who are practicing in India. I mean, I love practices of Ayurvedic. I don't understand it all, and I'd like to more, just like you. I'm sure you got a huge learning curve. I mean, did you practice the practice of living Ayurvedically, if that's a word, during the making of this film? I mean, was it a learning curve that you just kind of immersed yourself in?
At times and phases. It was 3 or 4 years making it, so I kind of went in and out of things. I've become very good at making khichdi. I'm very confident in my khichdi recipe.
I love, yes.
I love the practices, and a lot of it is requires great discipline. So I've kind of found the things that work in my life and made some adjustments, certainly. And, what they say that the one of the things that struck me the deepest, I think, with what I encountered in the teachings of Ayurveda was this concept of pratnya paradha, which means crimes against wisdom. They say that the root of all disease is crimes against wisdom, things that we know we shouldn't do and we do anyway, whether it's eating the pizza or drinking the extra glass of wine or not exercise, whatever it is in everybody's own story, but that we have, a certain agency in our health, and that ultimately we have an inner knowing of what is going to serve us. And so it's very empowering in that way. And it also, just kind of gives a sense of responsibility for our own health. So I think that was one of the biggest concepts that I took away. And also the understanding that that's the root of all disease, and it's the most common thing, that having a sense of forgiveness for the times where, I know I shouldn't do this, but I'm doing it anyway because I feel like it.
Wow. So it really comes down to vibration and being okay. I mean, I think about how I pray over food sometimes that may not be the most energetically sound, but I do my own prayer and wanting to transmute the energy of the food. So it is in alignment, even though somewhere in there I'm thinking that I know it's not, but somehow I'm tricking myself. But I do ask to pray. I mean, is that similar, you think, to what?
It's like a sort of a layer of it. To me, it's like an awareness, like knowing what you're doing, and just an honest, like a real honesty with yourself, and forgiveness is a big part of that too.
Sure.
The game's not to be perfect.
I wanted to see if we could talk about Dr. Deepak Chopra for a minute. I know that he's in the film, and of course we've had him here on Zeta Global Radio, and talk about someone who's so fastidious about his discipline about health and well-being and how it all actually works. I've been to so many of his talks, and down to the DNA and the cellular, and wow, how was that experience? And is he an Ayurvedic devotee? Is that his platform as well? I'm just curious about how that all tied in.
Deepak Chopra and Dr. Lad, their stories weave around each other in a very interesting way through the TM movement and Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, where in the 80s, when the TM movement was deciding that they wanted to integrate Ayurveda into their offerings, both Dr. Lad and Deepak Chopra were a big part of that process, where they approached Dr. Lad and he decided it wasn't the right fit for him, and they found then this medical doctor from Boston named Deepak Chopra to take the lead on bringing Ayurveda into their offerings. So it was this very interesting crossing of worlds, where the TM movement and Maharishi Mahesh Yogi were actually the ones that launched Deepak Chopra. And for several years, he was teaching Ayurveda, and that was really his roots, was teaching Ayurveda through TM. Then he went off on his own and expanded into all of the different consciousness and meditation and everything he does now. But his roots were in Ayurvedic teaching, so he was a big part of spreading the word about Ayurveda. And he and Dr. Lad, they have a great respect for each other, and we're both, two of the probably the two biggest people helping to responsible for Ayurveda being as well known worldwide as it is today.
Terrific. Do you want to touch on just a few of the other people that are in there that may not have that household name like Dr. Chopra does, but some of the other very significant interviews that you had, maybe a couple of them, just to give people, in case they do. Yeah.
One of the really exciting ones for me was Robert Swoboda, who I actually was more familiar with at the start of the project than I was with Dr. Lad. When I first started making One Track Heart, Krishnavas gave me Robert Swoboda's books, the Agora trilogy, these 3 incredible books that he wrote about his experience with he calls him his mentor in India.
Can you repeat the books again, the name of it?
Yeah, it's called the Agora trilogy.
Oh, the Agora trilogy, okay.
Agoras are, I don't even know how to, it's like sort of wild Shiva worshippers in India.
Wow, okay, cool.
So Robert Swoboda spent years with his mentor, Vimalananda, and he was in India studying Ayurveda and was a close friend and student of Dr. Lad. So Dr. Lad knew Vimalananda. So I knew all of these stories about Vimalananda, and I had loved Robert Swoboda's books. So his interweaving with Dr. Lad's story was really exciting for me, and Vimalananda is a very important character in Dr. Lad's story and in the film. And I just absolutely love Robert Swoboda and his writings and his world, this kind of unique place in the world. He's a brilliant man, and getting to spend time with him was really fun as part of the film. So he's a big part of the film. Claudia Welch, who's another just wonderful person and teacher and good friend of Robert Swoboda. They teach together a lot. And she was a student of Dr. Lad's and taught at the school for years, and is a really great teacher and practitioner.
So where's the film it's just beginning to make it out into the world. So for those listening, how can they learn more? How can they see the film? What's the process? What's the journey that we can share with them right now?
Yeah, so we just premiered in Santa Barbara at the film festival there. Now we have a bunch of screenings lined up. We're going to be actually in Florida, north of you, in Jacksonville at a film festival up there that is called the Sleeping Giant Film Festival at the end of March.
Oh, well, I'm going to have to make my way up there. Absolutely.
At Carnegie Mellon Film Festival in Pittsburgh in March. We're going to do a little tour of the Southwest where I'm going to go to Sedona and show it there for a couple nights in May, and then drive from Sedona to Albuquerque and Santa Fe, where we'll do screenings with Dr. Lad and his sort of home turf out there, which I'm really excited about.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
May 11th and 12th. I think we're going to be in Louisville, Kentucky, my hometown, on April 11th or 12th or something. But anyway, it's all on Zeitgeist's page, all the screenings, zeitgeistfilms.com.
Okay, perfect. Okay, and we'll go ahead and post that, people who are listening, to this on our Facebook page. But Zeitgeist is Zeitgeist Films. So we'll go ahead and post all that. So right now, you can see the films by attending film festivals. And then from there, we'll see where it goes. Do you think you'll see a theatrical release? Are you hoping for that? Is that the next evolution? Or
Yeah, so some of these screenings are sort of theatrical releases. It's going to play in Santa Fe for, I think, a week. It's going to play in Albuquerque for a week. We're working on New York dates right now.
Great.
We also have a release in Germany coming up in the summer.
Well, I have to also just say from a filmmaking standpoint, what a blessing that distribution, it's so great being in, they were with you for Krishna Das, is that right? They're distributors, and so now.
Yeah, I was really excited that they loved the film and wanted to share it and work with me again, because they're wonderful and they've put out so many just incredible films, and are really good people, and just I feel really lucky to be working with them. So it's exciting to be bringing another film out with them.
Well deserved, and congratulations on everything that you do, everything you've done, and everything you will do. And of course, we're big fans of all of what you bring to the planet, and look forward to supporting you and letting our listeners know the journey that you're on and where it's taking you.
Well, thank you so much, Lainey. It's always really wonderful to have some time to chat with you, and good luck with all the worlds you're building down in your little corner in Florida there. Sounds like paradise.
We'll have to have you down, maybe even if you get a day or two in between your big film festival. Well, we're going to wish everybody a fabulous week, and when we come back, we'll have another wonderful ZGR show with a guest who's really making an imprint in the world of positivity. That's what this show's all about. So thank you again, Jeremy, and we wish everyone a wonderful, wonderful, blessed time.